WIBTA if I don't want to get married anymore. I, 33M, and my, 26F, are to be married in September. We have been going through a lot of stuff and I'm not sure if I can go through with it. We have a 3-year-old son and he is my whole world. We have been together for 5 years now and the beginning of our relationship was chaotic to say the least, but we loved each other, we had a good intimate life and she was attentive and listened to me and we got along great. We were using at the time, me being on meth at the time and she was doing heroin and fentanyl. We got sober when we had our son and everything started to change. She became less attentive, less intimate with me and since then has had issues with depression. She says she has been depressed her whole life but it never came up until she was off the drugs. When my son was about 2 years old she told me that she was unhappy with the life we had and decided that we should split up. We split and I had to move in with my dad for a while until I found a place that would rent to me. I remained sober through this and continued to do well. I have a decent job and make good money so it wasn't hard to get back on my feet. She ended up getting with another guy and then he decided he didn't want to be with her so she started coming around me again after about 4/5 months. During this time I only got to see my son on the weekends, which was hard. I really started to gain traction and I saved up enough to be able to buy my first home. By this time she had come around my new apartment often and even helped me figure out the home buying process and eventually moved in with me at my new place. Side note, she had never used for long when she relapsed and for the most part has stayed sober, but here and there she's used and stopped. I'm sorry this is all over the place, but I'm trying to get everything out leading up to why I've come to this conclusion. So we've lived in my new home for about 1.5 years now, and when we first moved in things were good and we were happy and I was content with how things were going, but eventually things went back to how they were. She never asks me for intimacy, I'm always the one who gives her affection, so that part hurts, but after so long of it I've become sort of numb to it. But what's been getting me recently is I've become the one who does everything. I cook, I clean, I make her food, I wake our son up, I put him to bed, I feed the dogs, I do literally everything in the house trying to make things easy for her when she's having a hard time with her depression. And now she's been using again on top of everything. I have been trying so hard and I feel like this life isn't worth it to her. She's gonna end up dead doing the shit she's doing, but I feel like it doesn't matter. The most recent events are bad. 2 to 3 weeks ago she ended up getting some drugs from a coworker and she told me she got them and did them in front of me. I didn't think this bothered me that much, but later that night I ended up going and relapsing myself. Once that happened she went full throttle thinking because I did it made it okay for her to go get a bunch of heroin and proceeded to get trashed for a few days. I ended up doing some of it too and felt horrible. When I relapsed I felt horrible and I stopped. It was 2 days for me and I quit and swore to myself I was never going to do it again and tried to make sure she was on the same page. She said she was done and I thought that was it. Now just this last weekend before Easter she did some shady shit. She said she had to go to work to cover someone's shift or something which wasn't out of the ordinary, but after about a couple hours I checked her location on my phone and it showed that she was on her way out of town towards where I know the drug guy lives. I called and freaked out asking why she was doing it and that I thought we were done, and she just kept on going, said she was already on the way and wasn't turning around. She ended up high on Easter and I lost it. We were supposed to be at our families for Easter and I asked her not to be high and she was anyway. The night before I got pissed because she was trying to cut the kid's fingernails while high and I wasn't okay with that at all. And after that she wouldn't read him a bedtime story when he asked for her, so I started screaming, go read him a story or get the fuck out. After that I went in and told her everything, what I'm upset about, the intimacy, the fact I do everything for our son. She acknowledged that she hasn't been doing well and that she didn't know that I had the feelings that I did and that she can do better and will do better. She did read him a story, but after that and me getting pissed on Easter she started packing up her and my son's things to go stay somewhere else. She went to her parents and I stayed home. She proceeded to lie and trim up her story to them to make me look like a shitbag. I went there the other day and I set the story straight on all that, but that all leads to where we are today. She's sober currently, 3 days or so. She is acting like she usually does, isn't being any different and isn't doing anything like she said she would. It may be due to coming off the drugs, but even so I'm still at a breaking point with all of it. I've tried so hard to be a good man and it all seems like a waste. I'm literally feeling like the only reason I'm still here is so that I can be with my son every day. He is the light of my life and can't imagine not being with him every day. I don't have any parental rights at the moment. I'm on the birth certificate, but we haven't done anything with the courts as far as custody, so she is the 100% parent at this point. I love her a lot and I would never want anything bad to happen to her. I would love it if she could be a partner to me like I am to her, but I don't know if that is possible. She loves our son and is a good mom, but everything else that is going on isn't good for him to be around at all. I feel like she doesn't have a reason to stay sober, or this family isn't enough of a reason to stay sober. I'm not sure if there is more I could do for her or if there's hope at all for her or us. Typing all this out, I don't feel so good. I am an addict, I've been there, and I know how hard it is, and that if anyone should have compassion it should be me. Any insight would be greatly appreciated, and any extra info can be provided upon request. Thanks for taking the time to read this.